Hey everyone, Ray Alfalla here at Sonoma with the Cup car and the fixed setup. This is our first road race of the season. So here we start our hot lap. Staying in third gear. Down to second gear here in turn one, getting a little bit tight right there. Staying in second gear. Making sure you hug that curb right there, bring it out all the way to the end. You gotta watch out here, there's some wheel spin over that curve over the hill right there, and then you're going to go downhill into this left hander right here. Kind of just let the car coast right there, and then this blind right turn right here. Keep it right next to that curb and then bring it out, and you just have to kind of guess where the car is going to be at this point. You kind of just learn by repetition in every lap where you need to place the car because you basically can't see the road. Stay in second gear. Brake a little bit before the pavement changes color right here. Then turning in, you're going to barely just clip that curve. That's probably the best thing you can do there, just clip it a little bit. But not too much. If you hit it too much, it's going to really upset the car and you're going to ruin your exit. So right there, just barely clip it a little bit. Go over this big curb right here. And then stay in second gear down here. Brake right before the end of that wall. I'm going to rewind here a little bit. Basically, your braking point right here, right before the end of this wall right here. Start braking. Bring it up to first gear. Hug this curb right there. Don't get your tires on it. Quickly to second gear here. And then third gear, right as you hit this right turn right here, just put it in third. If you stay in second, the car will be way too upset through these last two S's right here. Again, downhill part right here, take it easy. Can't go wide open through any of this. Again, hit the brake right here. Stay in third gear, bring it out right there. It can get a little bit loose on that curb right there, and then hard on the brakes down to first gear for the hairpin. And then coming out of the hairpin, easy on the throttle. You're in first gear, a lot of tire spin right there, but get it back to second and then third. And stay in third for the rest of the lap. And that's your hot lap around Sonoma. Now here we're going to start lap 5, and now I've set here on the UI on VRS, I've set the blue lap to be, this is lap 5, which will be on the video, and the red lap will be our hot lap, and it'll be a comparison of where we are versus that lap. As you can see, we're taking the green right here, and this number right here, this many feet, means where we are on the track compared to our hot lap. So right now, our hot lap, we were almost 6 feet further to the right entering turn 1. As you remember, I got tight entering turn 1 compared to this lap. And this is the delta compared to that hot lap. And the difference in the inputs, as you can see right there, the brake versus the current lap, which is lap 5, and the hot lap. So entering turn 1, at this point we've fallen off about just over a second. The fall off happens pretty quick and it kind of just levels off. So right now, basically the rear tires, a lot more tire spin, so you have to be a lot more careful of what the car is doing on exit to the corner. Overall there's just a lot less grip. So even under braking, you just have to brake a little bit earlier. You have to be careful with wheel spin. So every time you go to downshift, just make sure to jab the throttle a little bit. I don't have any of the aids turned on, or the auto blip or anything like that, but you can turn that on if that helps you. But I've always just found that it's good enough just to blip the throttle, since you don't have to use the clutch with these cars to shift. Essentially, you just back off the gas to upshift, and then you can just hit the throttle a little bit, blip it yourself to downshift. So again, right here, make sure every downshift right there, I'm hitting the gas quite a bit just to prevent that wheel spin. But yeah, this completes lap 5. And just more tire spin, just overall slower lap time. Now here we start lap 10, and again, aggressively down into second gear. They're actually hitting about 9,600 RPM sometimes. You have to be careful because definitely, I have seen people downshift just too quickly on road courses in general and just blow up. So it's not worth it using the engine braking so much so that you can blow your engine or maybe even overheat because of it. So I'm gonna rewind right here a little bit, showing you, just clip that curb a little bit as I mentioned earlier. You have to be careful going over this curb right here, because if you go over it way too aggressively, I mean, even right here, this is basically the preferred line, you're basically staring right at this wall right here. So if you were to get tight right there, a lot of times, you'll either barely hit it, and you really don't want to do that, or sometimes you'll just try to avoid it and end up going this way or getting into another car or whatnot. So try to avoid, getting too wide out there. And then this right here is one of the basically only 2 passing opportunities on this track. This one and the hairpin. The hairpin being the most popular and best one, but overall this track is just pretty difficult to pass. All of this S's, pretty much single file. If you're double file through there, you're gonna be losing a lot of time, and it has a good chance of ending in a wreck. This corner right here, very flat. The car's actually pretty tight right there, and can get a little bit loose on exit. And again, right here, a little bit of wheel hop right there. Just the tires are getting older. So I'm, and right there, a lot of tires spin on exit. But overall, pretty decent lap. That completes lap 10. Now we start lap 15. Again, very similar. The car feels pretty much the same as it did lap 5 and lap 10. Compared to the hot lap. The hot lap had actually a lot more grip than any other lap. I think that's just because the tires eventually just reach kind of their operating temperature. These tires are very, very, very fast when they're cold, and then once they heat up, they kind of, they lose time, and they kind of level out for a bit. So right here, I'm just trying to keep the car tidy, trying to keep the car, don't move it around too much. I'm gonna rewind right here. So you go down to first gear here for this tight corner at the top of the S's, and then right here, the reason I shift to second really quickly is just if you stay in first, it'll just spin those rear tires. Same as exiting the hairpin. You want to use the acceleration in first gear, but only so much. If you anytime you get wide open in a gear like first gear, where it's basically spinning the rear tires, that just means you're going to be suffering much more later on in the run. So right there, I shift to second gear really quickly. And again, pretty early to third gear as well. And just keeping the rear tires on it is very important. It seems like even if your setup is on the tight side here, just because of the gears and then the acceleration coming off the corners, keeping the rear tires on it is pretty much the most important thing you can do. Of course, next to hitting your marks. So that completes lap 15. Now this is a 20 lap run, but this is lap 19 because I did not complete lap 20, and I will show you where I wrecked. And it's kind of what I was speaking about earlier. As you can see right there, the car's just dancing. Pretty low grip right now, running about 15.2s, which is almost 2 seconds off of the hot lap. Anytime you go downhill, it's very sketchy. So right here, there's no footage of it because I didn't complete the lap. But essentially what happened is I got a little bit wide right here, and I went over, at the end of this curb right here. As you can see, the car obviously comes off that curb, and if you don't keep the car straight when you're doing that, it'll spin the tires, and it spun the left rear out. I tried to correct it, but essentially it just made a right, and I went head on right into this wall. And that's something that I've seen happen quite a bit. And as you can see right there, I actually almost lost it right there the lap before, which should have given me warning. But that's kind of what you have to do. You have to when you're racing, you have to remember what the car did the lap before. If the tires are getting worn out and there's something wrong with how you're driving a corner, or if the car's just getting really upset through one of the corners, you have to remember that for the following lap. And I've seen a lot of drivers crash right there, whether they hit that wall or they barely clip it or they spin to the inside. A lot of challenging corners at this track, but it can be it can be a very rewarding place to race at. And you know, that's a run at Sonoma with the Cup car and the thick setup.